What's up, Bills fans? What's going on? Back from the bye. Team got on the field a little bit today. All wearing red jerseys, quarterbacks in green jerseys. So it looks like we're going to get the red color rush. I just wish it was with white pants. I hate like on like. I hate blue on blue. I hate white on blue, and I don't like red on red. I know it helped them in the snow game against the Colts, but I don't like that color scheme. But anyway, Bills back from a bye. Get a little clarity on some injuries. All the guys look to be out there moving around pretty well. What's up, Eric? How you doing, man? Came on during the halftime of the game. Looks like everything I hear, Milano's gonna be out this week, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. Play it safe. It's against Miami, not a very good opponent. Get him ready for the Eagles game at home and the Redskins at home. Depending on the situations with those teams, but definitely he's such a key part of this defense. Make sure he's 100% because he's a linebacker who runs and plays in space, and he has to be able to do that. Stop, cut, move, change direction. You can't ask him to go out there, and you've seen them play it safe with hamstring injuries with other players. So I think he's going to be out for this game. Croft was out there moving around pretty well. Had an ankle sprain that wasn't the high ankle variety, and he looks like he's recovered. Don't know if he's going to be active this game, though. I think they may give him an extra week of rest to see, because you're going to get Singletary back, you're going to get Teron Johnson back, and those guys are going to want to get integrated in the offense. And you also have Duke Williams, who I'm going to speak about in a minute, who provided a big jolt, for what it was in the Bills offense. And I gave him a comp, and I didn't want anybody to go, nobody flamed me for it. I said his game was similar to Michael Thomas. I said his game, if the type of receiver he was, sure-handed, physical, it plays big, plays his size, and that's good. That's what this offense needs. I would like to see Foster back. Eric says could be a good week to get Foster back. The offense, especially with Zay being gone, definitely. I'd like to see him back, but again, so many moving parts in this offense. I think that Foster would be definitely nice to get on going. Hit some of those deep shots. That all elusive 300-yard game. People always talk about with the Bills offense. And those are the type of plays that are going to get those big yardage games, and those plays are going to come. They haven't come as quick as we would like, because Allen is definitely working on other parts of his game, a lot of the underneath stuff, a lot of the quick hitter stuff, and trying to make sure he makes the right decisions with the ball. We all know he's capable of hitting the deep stuff. I was listening to Daniel Jeremiah today. He was actually on the Giants website talking to them about Daniel Jones. And one thing he said about Jones rang true to me in relation to Josh Allen. He said it's much easier to teach a quarterback who has aggression. It's much easier to rein a quarterback in who's overzealous than it is to teach a quarterback who's conservative to be overzealous. It's hard to make a quarterback who wants to be safe all the time be aggressive, and it's easier to make a quarterback who wants to be aggressive safer. So sorry to be so long-winded about it. And I thought about that instantly with Josh Allen. I think we saw a lot of those positives in the Tennessee game, and that was really encouraging. He came back, corrected a lot of his mistakes, made one bad decision, but overall, he played a pretty clean game, given the offensive line situation, playing without Singletary, having Duke in there, and Duke provided a jolt. He really did, and I want to give the Bills organization credit. Trading Zay Jones to me was a lot bigger than what people think it is. It's not. It signifies a big change for the Buffalo Bills. It's not just trading Zay Jones. People talk about trading up to get him. People talk about wasted draft. No. The Patriots, they cut draft picks all the time. They've cut second-round draft picks, and people laud them for it. People applaud them for it. Yeah. Eric says it. Bean isn't messing around. And trust me, McDermott has a big say in that too. They're not playing games. These people are not here to play favorites. They're not here to give cushy little positions, because there was times with the Bills, trust me. And the last time the Bills had a serious front office, I remember John Butler was the GM, and he cut John Perella, who was a really good defensive tackle. Really good. He went on and played on a Super Bowl team with the Chargers. He was a really good player. but he was pissed about playing in a 3-4 defense. He didn't want to play in a 3-4 defense because he felt he was better suited as a 4-3 defensive tackle, and he didn't want to do the things that the defense was asking. And they cut him. They cut him. He was a second-round draft pick. They just said nope. They played with an undersized Jeff Wright for a year till they signed Ted Washington the next year. So, yeah, and then you go on to Donahoe. You go on to some Modrak. Nobody was really the GM then. These people were not cutting draft picks. These people were just hanging on to them like old lady hoarders with knickknacks. And these people were not good enough to be on the roster. And Zay Jones, it was a compete issue with Zay Jones. I just don't think Zay Jones had the compete issue. What's up, Ronald? How you doing, man? Has the compete level that this team wants from its players anymore. And that he broke. Zay Jones broke under the pressure of the competition. And you know what? If that player can't handle the pressure of competition, he doesn't need to be on this team, and this team would never go forward with a player like that. So I applaud the Buffalo Bills for doing that, admitting that, you know what? We picked the wrong guy. We're going to move on from him. And we have a player who was a guy who thought, Duke, like me, I didn't think that Duke Williams, a guy they signed in March, was it? No, January, February. I'm like, nice. Led the CFL in receiving yards. I'll probably cut him in June. Nope. Caught a game-winning touchdown for the team in October. Unbelievable. And he's a great story. And I said depending on how it goes with him, he might be this team's the new Fred Jackson. That's his story. That's why they gravitated to him. That's why Bills fans wanted this guy on the team so bad. But he's earned it with his play. Eric says, if you know you're not in their future plans, you find a way to get rid of you. Yep, they find a way to get rid of them. Pretty much, they just move on from them, and that opened up a roster spot with the trade of Zay Jones, and on came Sonoris Perry, and that also tells me that this team is not losing another game on a special teams error. It's not it's not going to lose a game on a block punt, a blown coverage on kicks, and a guy that, as a veteran, as a special teams player as Perry is, the instant they re-signed him, I thought if he's on the coverage unit against the Patriots, he makes the call to bring in the protection, and that punt never gets blocked. That was my first thought. I shit you not. I was like, because that's what the guy is. That's what he's here for. This team has no intentions on losing a game in that fashion or having it be an Achilles heel. And if you look at all the games that the Bills have played, they've been their own worst enemy. It's nothing the opponent has done to the Buffalo Bills. It's what they've done to themselves. Those interceptions against Patriots were just Allen trying to win the game on one throw. Everything that's happened to them has been of their own doing, and everything that they've overcome has been of their own doing too. Yeah, Eric says, I don't know if I would call him the Ned Fred Jackson yet. Freddie he had a successful season. I'm just saying their stories are similar, Eric, in terms of how they came into the league, the adversity that they had to overcome, much different. Fred, D3 guy, Duke, D1 guy, but it's a similar, type of story. An underdog guy, a guy who had to go to the CFL and reestablish himself, just very similar. And it's a sexy position. It's a position that gets the ball. It's a position that the Bills have not had a player that's kind of like impactful in a game. And this guy showed he could be impactful in a game. He very natural catcher of the ball, very smooth. Didn't look like it was too big for him whatsoever. Looked like he was playing, with his head completely in the game, and that's where I felt Zay a lot of times lacked. He just didn't have, he would lapses in concentrations. It seemed to fight the ball, not catch the ball. Never trusted him in a big spot. And this is not pile on Zay Jones hour. It's just that if they feel like they're upgrading in a player, I feel, I'm totally fine with that. I don't care where the guy was drafted. You got to believe, though, with the caliber of opponent coming up in Miami, and I heard this from, if you go on Bills.com and you listen to some of the locker room interviews they have up, it was very clear, very, very clear. McDermott said, do not think you're just going to walk in there and win this game, because Poyer reiterated it, Alexander reiterated it, Oliver reiterated it. This is a week-to-week league. They played well against Miami in the second half, despite what their record is. That is McDermott speaking through and through. And trust me, I'm of the same ilk. Don't think, I hope the Bills, and I don't think they are, just given the mindset of this team, they're not going to just walk in there and just say, hey, they're going to come here, show up, and we're just going to kick their ass. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to, have a little, and I would, trust me, I would love that. I would love for them to just go in there, and railroad them. And we'll see if that happens. But I don't think they're going to let the team get that entitled mentality like a Rex Ryan team would. I felt like there was times where Rex's teams, would get fat and happy, we're going to go win this game, and they would just get blown, just stomped, because they just weren't buttoned down. They weren't focused. They weren't prepared. They thought who they were. Similar to who the Browns are going through, a bunch of talent, but not a lot of cohesion. And I don't want that. What's up, Snarl? That's right. Snarl says, Jordan Phillips say trap games are for teams that are underprepared. And that's true. And I don't think this team is going to be underprepared. I think a guy like a Jordan Phillips, former Miami Dolphin, Sonoris Perry, former Miami Dolphin, Frank Gore, former Miami Dolphin. There's some, it's kind of funny. They're going to want to go in there and play well. And they're going to want to show, they still have juice. Singletary coming back is going to want to show he has juice. I think this is going to be a big game for Dawson Knox. This game for Dawson Knox, I think, is going to be a huge game. I think I was watching a little bit of Miami. They lack a lot in the middle of the field. Their linebackers are very, very challenged athletically, even at their safety position. I just think this is a big time game for Knox to have a breakout game. It just sets up that way. If you look at the next three defenses this team is facing, this is a time the Bills offense can get itself established, because there's a lot of rocky road coming. I just want to focus on Miami right now. And also, there's a lot of Bills fans out there with trade rumors, trade for AJ Green, trade for Melvin Gordon, trade for Diggs. Diggs isn't going anywhere. Vikings are trying to win. Look at the game he just had. Diggs, number one's not going anywhere. AJ Green, he's old. He makes a lot of money. He's going to be a free agent. No, thank you. And Melvin Gordon, why? Gore's been great. Singletary, I want to see him get the ball. Okay. And Yeldon hasn't been bad in the limited role he's been asked to do, sans the fumble. Okay. Gordon has done nothing for me to, oh my God, we have to just kill ourselves to get Josh. What, 1,000-yard season? He scores some touchdowns, but he's not amazing. I don't understand, and I put that out on Twitter. Some Bills fans chirp back at me, oh, conservative Bills. I'm like, no, it's not fantasy football, dude. You just don't add people. This isn't Madden Ultimate Team where you just add a player or open up a pack and you get this guy. No, it's a chemistry thing. It's a cohesion thing. How does a guy fit in your locker room? How does a guy fit in your culture? Does he have the same goals as you do, as your team does? Does Melvin Gordon have the same goals and agendas as the Bills team does? No, he's holding out on his team that drafted him, talking about how he wants to get paid. No, thank you. Eric Moreno, I'm glad Rosen is starting. Rather play the young quarterback with the roster than Fitz, who could either light it up or be an INT machine. Yeah, Fitz is very erratic, Eric. As we know, neither quarterback scares me. They're so talent deficient on defense and on the offensive line. I mean, I watched the Miami game a little bit, and they're really up against it talent-wise, man. They're in a bad way at every level of their team. And it really doesn't bother me who they play at quarterback. Snarl, I'd be surprised if they make a big move. I would take I'd take their first round pick. No, I don't think Bean would do that. No, and here's the example why Bean won't do it. Bean didn't want to trade the 2019 first round pick to move up to get Josh Allen. Remember the press conference? He says, I was willing to part with it, but I'm glad I didn't have to do it. And he didn't. He didn't want to use it. That's why he had so many picks in the 18 draft. He didn't want to use that pick. And he didn't. So if he's not going to use that pick to go up to get the quarterback that he's entrusting his livelihood with, he's going to do it for Stephon Diggs or Melvin Gordon. No. I would, if the Bills want to add a player for a mid-round pick that they feel helps their depth, go ahead. I'm all for it. Whether it's on one of the offensive or defensive lines, I'm all for it. But none of these toys. I want to see what Duke Williams brings. We know Robert Foster can bring something to this offense. We know that. We saw it. We saw what the kind of dynamic dimension he can bring. Croft, he's an enigma. We don't know. We've seen glimpses of Knox, glimpses of Singletary. There's a lot of moving parts. And this offense still has, again, all these new people on offense, and you want to add more. This team has to play together. That's what it needs. Allen needs to develop. The team needs to play more together. Point blank. Eric Marino, random point, NFL officiating at an all-time worst. It's just getting worse. It's getting worse, and there's several reasons for it. My biggest reason is you have Park Ave, where the NFL office is here, right across the river, right in the direction I'm facing. You got a bunch of lawyers, right? And you've got a bunch of marketing people who are making the calls in the offseason how this league is going to change. They present it to the owners. The owners present it to the competition committee. They put it in front of the players union, and then it's a mess because the officials don't know how to officiate the games because the rules are arbitrary. There's too much gray area. The players don't know what they're doing because they don't know what the point of emphasis, and there's a point of emphasis this week, that week. Remember the 1 week there was a lot of holding calls, then the league said pull back on the holding calls. There's too much. Why do you think Blandino stepped down? If you remember, Blandino was the guy originally appointed to the Riveron position. He said, I don't want this. Do you know why he doesn't want this? Look at this. This is terrible. These refs have a hard job. I'm not going to say they don't, but it's still these rules. There's too much gray area, and the league needs to just take the playbook, make it as simple as possible, take out some old antiquated rules, and just make sure that there's no ambiguity. That's it. There's too much ambiguous stuff with an NFL rule. One person's interpretation of a pass interference, a catch, might be different. It's just, I know what a catch is. It's ridiculous. Like the pass interference on Nickel Roby-Coleman in London. That was not pass interference. That was ridiculous. Then he doesn't get it called for him against the Saints in New Orleans. It's unbelievable what this league has done, or what the people in New York have done, because they're not football people. They're lawyers and they're marketing people, and they're the trust fund princesses and the entitled sons of whoever. The nepotism league. That's what happens. That's what happens when you just let people go in and start making up things, because that's what happens. It's exactly what happens. And Stafford just got sacked. Snarl, especially at the end of games in hockey, you just let them play. I'm a firm believer, unless it's a completely egregious, you let it play out. I mean, you know the old saying, you can call holding on every play in an NFL game, unless it's a complete egregious horse collar takedown stuff. Sometimes you just got to let stuff go. Depending on the point in the game, you really do. If you're trying to inhibit a guy from a sack and you pull him down or you tackle him, then you have to throw the flag. But yeah, it was clear. I'm going to wrap this up real quick so you guys can get back and watch the game. It was clear that the McDermott talked to this team during the meetings this morning and said, look, you're not going to lose this game because you're overlooking this team. 3 straight home games, and I damn well know they want to go 3-0 here. They're 3 games away from 8 games of the season. they damn sure want to be able to clean up these games at home. They want to defend their dirt. They want to win these games. And these teams defensively set up for the Bills offense to finally get right. Again, focus on Miami. That team gives up a lot of yards. They're leaky all over the place. And the Bills can just basically go out there, similar to what happened with the Giants, and kind of just see what works and just roll with it and not beat themselves. And they can win this game and go to 5-1. And then caliber of competition goes up because you're going to have Philly. But, and this is the only time I'll look ahead a little bit, Philly, look at that game. They're going to be coming off a Monday night game against Dallas, where that's for the division. It's Monday night. They're going to blow their load in that game. So if the Bills can, have a nice calm win and really hone in and focus on Philly and catch them on a little bit of an energy dip after a Dallas game for their division, maybe Philly's like, oh, it's an out-of-conference game, won't be taking it as seriously, who knows? And then they can maybe catch them sleeping a little bit or just straight up beat them because they didn't look great yesterday. And then you got the Redskins who just beat the Dolphins, but they barely beat them. So this team needs these 3 games are huge. This team could really stamp its place on its way to the playoffs in the next 3 weeks, and I'm looking forward to watching it with the rest of you guys. Have a great night. Eric should be 6-2 at worst after this homestand, 6-2. But you know what? I'll go 5-1, and then after that, we'll worry about 6-1. How about that? We're just going to take it like the team, 1 week at a time. I don't concede games. I don't want them to lose a damn game. So let's see. Oh, and quick before I jump off, Sabres are playing well too. So fun times with Buffalo sports. You guys have a great night. Thanks for jumping on with me real quick. Just something quick before the bye. Love you all. Go Bills. 20-4. I want to see a big score, Snarl. I want to see. Come on, can I get like 48-7, 48-10? I want to see like big numbers. I want to see like a fantasy football game. Shut everybody up. How about that? Go Bills. Peace, guys. Good night.